Hello, Amanda. Welcome. It's so lovely to see that beautiful face. How are you
Hello.
today?
I'm amazing, Anu, and lovely to see you. And thank you for inviting me on. I'm just so excited to connect with a kindred spirit.
Oh, likewise. And we share similar journeys, and we share similar perceptions towards life. And I'm just so excited to talk to you more about that, so that you can inspire others.
That's it, because that's our role, just to inspire and be who we are truly,
Yeah,
without the need to be anything else.
absolutely. Genuine to the heart, genuine to the soul.
I know who you are.
Yes, that's perfect. So, Amanda, tell us about yourself and what have you been doing? What brings you here today?
So I'm Amanda. I'm going to be very honest. I was lost for years, hidden under layers of should be, could be, should do's, must do's.
Mhm.
And what I've realized is that all came from society outside of me. And I lost myself and was totally unhappy and isolated. And I did that to myself. And even though I've got an amazing husband and son, I couldn't connect. And the reason is I couldn't connect because I didn't have a name for who I was. And what I've come to realize through, I'm just me. And it's as simple as that. And I am joy. I am love. I'm up, I'm down, I'm in the middle. I used to make emotions and thoughts be true. And I realized they're just visitors and I don't need to be attached to them. And we were talking about the ego, my ego and pride. I'm going to put them hand in hand, was running a lot of the show. I was proving, as a child, I was told I wouldn't get anywhere. So I was running my life, proving to get the results, but at what cost? And the cost was I was denying who I wanted to be, which is actually just be in flow, connect with all humans because we are built for connection. But my fear stopped and disconnected me. So what I've done, I put out my first book, I Choose Me, which was unveiling my story of my past, to let go of it for me. But I also put in some help, some guides that I use that can help anybody who's feeling lost like I was. But in choosing me, and this is where the powerful revelation has happened, I can let go of all that hurt and pain and decide who I want to be in this moment. And that led me to create the Mood Munchers for children who are emotions. And I'm talking about all of them: shame, guilt, all those ones we don't like to talk about. And then recently I've started my podcast for you to choose you, because I hope my story will inspire people to realize they are just as valuable, just as worthwhile, but they need to choose them. We all need to choose ourselves first.
And do you think that that's a big issue at the moment with how we're raised in this society to be so institutionalized, the control that's placed upon us?
It's the conditioning. We have been conditioned with my knowledge is that children are born perfect and they're curious, creative, innocent. And yet as soon as we put them into an establishment of school, they're conditioned to do it a certain way that was made up by someone along the time, and I don't know when, but they are denied doing it their way. And I can see I was denied doing it my way. That's why I became a teacher, because as a young child, I was told I was stupid. I'd be lucky to get a job sweeping a street. And I believed it because it was coming from the elders. I was taught to respect them. But what I realized is, in listening to what they wanted me to do, I did it. It took me a long time, but I lost how I learn. And I know every child, every human, in fact, is capable of learning. The job of a teacher is to stand there, see who's in front of them, and teach in that way. And that's what I endeavor to do. And it doesn't matter. I had a big thing about time, in society, it says you're meant to do this at this age, this is that age. I didn't get married till I was 40. I'm only stepping into my beingness now in my 50s. And I've let go of the story that it had to be any other way. And I'm just ready now. And it's when you are ready, you will choose you.
You look fantastic for a woman in your 50s. I thought you were
Thank you.
younger than me.
No, I think that's letting go of a lot of my sorrow and the stories. People are saying to me, I'm looking younger now because I'm not carrying the responsibility and the weight of the world on my shoulders anymore. I'm just me. And in showing up, truly being authentically me with love and compassion, I'm inspiring my son now, my husband, we're connecting at a deeper level. And it was just me and my ego that was in the way. And me being right. I'm going to whisper that one.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a huge attachment. I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah, this is it. So just letting go of the ego, right? Well,
Yes.
again, I think even just saying that, it's a lot of people would argue against, you're not meant to let go of the ego. It's more kind of making friends with it, and understanding it and its purpose in your life, because
It has a purpose, because like my ego, in school put me along the levels to do this exam, that exam, to get where I want. So it has a success, but we confuse ourselves that we are our egos. And we're not. That's just a form that looks good or bad in different situations. What the truth is, and there's a powerful film called The Peaceful Warrior, and there's a scene where this boy's battling with this hooded figure. And what I was so surprised, it was his ego, and he had to let the ego go. And to let your ego go, still be there, but let go of the control it has on us. That's actually accepting and trusting your essence, your truth of who you really are. And that's where I'm still journeying it, because my ego still crops up and goes, "Oi, you've forgotten about me." And I go, "Oh no, I haven't." But I'm just choosing not to go there today. And then sometimes it wins and I go totally on that story and run with it.
Oh wow.
But that's just being human.
Yeah. Does your ego have a name?
Pratsy.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I've made a lot of pratty mistakes along the way. And yeah, even in that name, there's a bit of judgment, isn't there? But I can laugh at it, because I do laugh at myself a lot, because I took things so seriously and it had to be this way. And if it wasn't, I was a failure. And actually, in my failures, there's nothing wrong with failing. Actually, it's just the first attempt in learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we need to fail in order to learn. People
Exactly.
of
You've
that.
got a little one, a 3-year-old. Now, the first time he or she took their steps and fell down and got up, you encouraged them to get up again. They didn't just get up, walk across it, "Hey, I'm Walker." And then you didn't, as a mother, when they fell down, say, "Oh, darling, you tried, but you're not a walker, so we don't do walking." And yet we do that to ourselves as adults and youngsters every day.
We do. Absolutely. God, I suppose all throughout school, it's achieving those grades, and then getting into the best colleges, and then, and then graduating in tons of debt. It's just, oh, goodness.
But what for?
Yeah, what for?
Who's it serving? Yes, if you have to have a degree or whatever to get into a certain job. But I think we're at the stage now that we need to look at the way we're going with jobs and think, right, because there are machines and things that can do a lot of things for us now, but who do you want to be for the rest of your life? We are conditioned for 18 years to study to get this result. Then we've got this result in our hand and we don't know what to do with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember that point when I had my certificates and I was thinking, what now? Okay, let's go get a job at, as a personal trainer, 11K a year, because I was inexperienced.
Yes. No, but there's so many labels and attachments, and with, what a job is worth. To me, motherhood is the biggest job I've done, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still learning every day. We're not paid for that. It doesn't come with a manual and this is how to do it, because it's all our own journey, and our children chose us, I believe, to travel together. And I'm learning so much from my son now, because I'm not making him right or wrong, and I'm letting go that he has to be any other way than who he is. And that's all right.
Yeah, because he's 13, so obviously he'll have a lot of peer pressure at school as well.
Totally. He wants to fit in. I'm embarrassing mom. I mean, he was in hospital a couple of weeks ago. He turned into the little boy again, saying, "Mom, what's wrong with me?" And I just knew then all he needed from me, and I think this as parents, we need to give, "You're safe. I'm here. I'm not leaving you, but you've got this. You can do this. I trust you. You can do it. But I'm here just as a backup."
Yeah. Oh, That is a beautiful approach. And I think this really needs to go viral. Every parent
Mm.
needs to know this, because parents place so much pressure on themselves, and then that comes off onto their children about how to parent. I mean, there is no right or wrong way to.
No,
No.
no, but we've been told a good mother is, and everybody, I can guarantee you, or a good father is, and you'll have that line finished in your mind.
Yeah.
But that came from what I've realized now, it came from what I didn't get from my mum. And probably she didn't get from her mum, and vice versa, and it travels down in generations. So who's going to actually say, no, enough's enough? A good mum is, unless this happens, and then that's fine, and not make it right or wrong.
Yeah.
You are in your journey. Mistakes are going to be made, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
Nobody's going to die from these mistakes. The fear that we're going to get it wrong and be judged by other people.
Oh my goodness, I've been
Judgment.
Yes, big time. Yeah, it's just.
And not just from other people. I realize I'm my harshest critic.
Yes.
And I tell myself off, and my inner praxi goes off on one. And I think, God, I'm telling off. And then I'm expected to be told off by others around me. And when it doesn't happen, I go, why wasn't I told off?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, 'cause for the past couple of weeks, I've been so judgmental against myself, and I felt judged as well, but by my little boy's nursery, because I haven't been getting him into nursery on time, because I'm just quite flat out at the moment, my schedule. And and I feel that they're not really understanding my schedule, and I'm thinking, it's a nursery, I'm paying them, why they're so bothered. But for them, it's about routine for the child.
Yes, because it's because the children, because I've worked in a nursery, and you have snack time where everyone does things together.
Yeah.
So basically it's upsetting their apple cart.
Yeah.
However, life happens to us. And we've got to be accepting that life sometimes gets in the way, and for the best laid plans, it doesn't go always the way we want it. And that's fine. It's letting go of it. It has to be that way. That's where the freedom is.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've always lived like a free-spirited life. And in a way, I really want my little boy to have some of that as well, but I also understand that he has to have some kind of routine as well. So I guess it's finding that balance.
But you'll have a routine regardless, because if you didn't go to nursery, you have a routine. When he was born, he taught you a routine. He needed to be fed, changed, etc.
Yeah.
I know I read all the books. I remember I read the Anna Ford book, and that went out the window because I went, I can't do it like you say it. And then I found another one, Baby Whisperer, and I thought, oh, this is much more gentle. Yeah. And it's actually the gentleness that we need, the compassion.
But some parents are really militant, and they're really good at routine. They're really good at sticking to whatever's in the book, and I really rate those parents.
Yes, but they're comfortable with it, you see. Yeah. You've got to realize what is your comfort zone and what is your discomfort zone. And with me, I've avoided my discomfort zone because it's yuckiness. And I'm learning to sit in it, and the lessons coming to me like bang, 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 bang. Yeah. But that's where I need to be. Enough of the comfort. I know what I can do well. It's not about that. It's what I'm uncomfortable with and don't do so well, and be kind to myself with it.
Wow. But you're also the CEO of your household now?
Yeah, Chief Energy Officer. And we all are, ladies.
We're all the CEOs.
We are, because I realize we are just energy. Yeah. And, if I've had a bad day, my energy is well off. And what my husband said to me is, it's scary to be around you because we're walking on eggshells, not to upset you. Oh. And I just thought, wow. And I wouldn't own it. I wouldn't take responsibility for that. Now what I do when I come in from school, because I'm a teacher as well, I stop at the door and I think, right, let that go. That's done with. Now I'm coming in as mummy. Who do I want to be? Or wife? Wow. And I actually acknowledge them now. Whereas before I'd come in, I've had a bad day. I need a bath. And it was still all about me. And it's become so much lighter. Because even it's just given 5 minutes of acknowledgement. I'm home. I love you. Had a nice day. And then we can be.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I guess that comes down from your growth and your self-awareness.
Totally. I was totally ignorant to it before. And I'll be totally honest with you. The other day I went, this is so hard. In a way, I wish I was still ignorant again. But when I was ignorant, I was just always in that low energy or hypermanic. I have to do it to prove everybody. And I'm wanting to be we're not a weighing scales. up and down. I want to find that equanimity, the middle part where everything is calm. And we've all got it in us. It's just been trained out of us. And it's coming home to self. That's what I call it. And in coming home to myself and giving myself the self-love, the self-care and the time. So I get up 2 hours before them in the morning to do meditation and things and journaling. And that's my time. And I've let go of what I was trying to get from them in that time for me. And then there's no attachment. And then I can just be, okay, you're you. If my husband's in the mood, I say, oh, I'm here for you. I'm not getting involved with it. You do you, I do me, but we're always together.
Yeah. Tell us about your schedule then, because it sounds like you've got quite a busy schedule.
I have. So I get up about 5:30 in the morning. I do go down and make myself a hot drink of lemon. And then I do an hour meditation.
Okay.
And that sets me up because in that meditation, I say, right, who do I choose to be today? Because sometimes I do wake up in a bad mood, but I acknowledge it. Oh, that's just a mood that's obviously wanted to come out, and rather than make it wrong, acknowledge it, welcome it, and it goes. Okay. But I want to inspire, I want to be joy, I want to have fun, I want to be productive. And then I go in and my language to school is, who are you showing up to be? And I say, I can see it in your face, I can see it how you're wearing a uniform, I can see it how you're standing. Yeah. And it's got nothing to do with what's on the curriculum. You have to acknowledge the human being first. And I've done that. And then when I get home, I'm on calls. We do have dinner time. And then I go to bed quite early and I have quiet time and journaling time where I can vomit all the yuckiness out of the day rather than vomiting it over other people, which is what I had a tendency to do. Phone my friends, oh, you know what? Why me? But it's not why me. I've changed it from why me for what for.
The power of words, right?
Oh, totally. And the choice of words. Yeah. So before, with the Irish Catholic in me, I was all fault and blame and guilt. And I inherited that from my parents. And now we don't use those words. I say, what's your responsibility? And my son's going, I'm a child. I've got no responsibility. I said, darling, you chose to be in this family. You are a member of the family. And as a member of the family, you have a responsibility. You know, I don't like doing the washing and the chores. Your father doesn't like doing his chores, but we all have a responsibility to make the house work, to make the family work. Yeah. And I think children really need to, he had chores growing up, but whereas now he's a teenager, he just wants to game and play and be, which is fine. And I get that, but then he also has to do the chores and responsibility. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like us for making him do it, but that's my choice, because as I said, imagine if we didn't give you any of this and you went out into the world wild on your own, you wouldn't know what to do.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and was it a certain point where you had this awakening?
I suffered from depression for years, and it was always the worst. Me and my family said, just snap out of it, and you overthink. I did overthink. I was living in my mind. Having Alessandro, I thought, because I wanted children so badly, because I wanted this perfect family. And then I got postnatal depression with him for 3 years. And there's regret that I was there, but I wasn't there. Yeah. And it's actually realizing it's nothing to do with him, but I was still feeling empty. And I'm thinking, gosh, I'm 50. I've got the house, I've got the husband, I've got the child, I've got the job. Everything is perfect from the outside, but why am I feeling so empty? And then that's when I came home to myself. It's always been in you, but I've avoided it because it was painful.
When did you start to write?
It was in 2019 I started writing the book, and the first draft, I'll be honest with you, my publisher sent it to me and I sat out there, I thought, oh, I'm going to be a published author. And I read the first page, I went, oh my God, this is dreadful. It was so the victim, it was so woe is me and all feel sorry for me. And I just found out, I went, no, that's not who I am now. No, that was such an attachment I had, but no, that's not going out. And she said, I can't believe you're the first person who, before you've written your first book, has outgrown it. Wow. And I am growing each day, because even who I was 6 months ago, I can look and cringe and go, okay, but all those stages have to happen. And I'm going to continue growing to the day I die and discovering what's more and more who I am, to be centered, to be grounded, to be loving and compassionate to everyone.
Wow. Yeah. No, and I can totally relate to that, because I was the same. I mean, my when I first started writing, it was a form of healing for me, but it was all
Yes.
victim me, poor me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I kind of cringed. I was like, no, I don't want this to go out like this. Yeah.
I've got to look good.
Ego.
Yeah. You see, it just crept in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so I just had, yeah, it took a while, but finally, you know, I got to where I wanted to with my book.
Yeah. And you'll grow even from this point onwards. You know who you'll be in 6 months. You'll listen to this conversation and go, but that's where you are now. And this is what I realized. I lived in the past with regret, or in the future in worry and anxiety, but I was never in the now. And actually, there's nothing to fear in the now. There's just you and me sitting here having a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful to be present, you know, and you're right. And again, I think because of my trauma and PTSD, I missed out on a lot of the present, because I was
Of
really
course you would.
past. Yeah.
And there's what my thing for children as a teacher, I want to change education so they realize, stop worrying about the results. Mums and dads, that's a message to you too.
Listen up.
There is just what is now, and it's your child, whatever they are, just trying to find their way. But there's no way to be except who they are, and accept that and trust that and love that, because the universe presents you with the lessons you need to learn. But you've got to be ready to listen. And being mindful and in the present. That's one thing. I'm being very mindful. You know.
So what could people do, like parents, what could they do to start off with to you know, stay present and to obviously help support their child and not put too much pressure on them?
I think the first thing is acknowledge you're human, and human come with flaws, and there's going to be good days and bad days. But a simple, when you're brushing your teeth, because we all do that in the morning, are you actually there brushing your teeth, or are you catastrophizing what hasn't happened and worrying? Because I know although I was there physically, I wasn't there in the moment.
Yeah.
And to me, I can't be doing that because I've got to do 10 things at once, because that's effective. And what I've learned is I never did anything properly or effectively. Take the word properly out. I did it half-heartedly and was never satisfied with anything. So if you start with yourself, because it's got nothing to do with your children, by the way.
No.
Let me make that very clear. If you're a tendency to go into your mind and not be present, and you're doing things like preparing dinner, going shopping, and you're not actually aware of your environment and how you're feeling and being in that moment, then that's the first thing you need to do. Acknowledge that you're not, which is fine, no right or wrong. And then choose next time for 3 minutes. I'm just going to try really mindfully feeling it. Use your senses. So what's it feel like? What's it taste like? What does it smell like? Because our senses are given to us to experience, and yet we ignore them. Listen to what your body's telling you. And then I've got so much more time back. Sounds madness, but I've got so much time by being present. And in that space, you start to heal and be aware. And then you can see your child, however they are. And I know as parents, we don't want them to suffer or go through pain. But, you know, I can see, rather than say, oh, don't worry about it, it's going to be fine. No, for them, that whatever they're going through is not fine. Rather than say, oh, get over it, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. So just say, I see you. I hear you. I'm here. Nothing else. You don't have to fix. You don't have to change. Because what you're providing them is security and trust, that you have trust for them and that they can trust themselves, and what they're experiencing or going through is fine.
And there's also like, obviously what you're saying now is about having empathy for your child and, you know, showing compassion. And it's how you communicate with your child. And a lot of these are counselling skills, aren't they? So, you know, maybe that's.
But it's how, this is what I became aware of, because when my son, I asked him to go find some milk and he couldn't find it. It's not my fault, it's not in there. And I went, whoa, I never said fault. But my husband said to me, do you not realize that's the language you've been using about yourself the whole time? And we're not even aware of it.
No.
It's so automatic, and that's the voice in your head. And so listen to the tone of voice you say when you're speaking to the child, because if there's anger, you're not angry with them at all. You're angry with yourself for not being what you want to be.
Absolutely.
And there's got to be forgiveness there, because we are human, firstly. Before you're a mum, you're a human. Before you're a dad, you're human.
Yeah.
And we are inner wounded children masquerading as adults because our parents, they weren't in as much knowledge as we have now.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the best they could with the resources they have. We have many more resources, but we've got to create the toolbox that it's okay just to be who you are. We don't have to keep up with the Joneses and compare ourselves.
Yeah.
But we're taught to compare ourselves so much. And there's nothing to compare.
No, what is there to compare? Absolutely. And you're right, because we're obviously inherited to have these values and beliefs, and to talk a certain way. It's so difficult to snap out of that, though.
Oh, not when you've been conditioned. I was conditioned to that 50 years. Then, although they died, my parents, I had this loyalty that I will continue it. Do you see? But in that, there was a bit of arrogance, and that's what I'm being present to now. The pride and arrogance I've still got, which is fine. I'm not making it wrong, but I'm just sitting there going, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I just know that I'm committed not to having my son feel that, but he's brought up anxiety and worry, and it's hit me. And I went, there was a story going, how dare he have that when I've done all this work?
Yeah.
And he's getting it. But what I didn't realize, how our energy, the CEO, that energy walking in was guilt, shame, fault. And not on a verbal level, but on a level, he was picking that up and made it to be him, because that's what mummy is. So that must be how life goes.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. And also regarding limiting beliefs, I mean, our belief system, we carry that throughout our life. And I can't do that, I'm not good enough,
Yeah, exactly. Although we don't often say I'm not good enough out loud.
No.
That's the one we hit ourselves around the head with quietly. But you're told, like I was told I couldn't do it. And I didn't get reading the way we were taught reading back in the 70s. I just didn't get that.
No.
I still don't get it, actually. But I didn't have, they weren't prepared to see me for what I needed. And that's where a lot of my pain is. So then I had to become, to fit in, to learn. And it just didn't work for me.
No.
So I got I'm confused, I don't get it. But we got hit and been told off in those days. Luckily, that's changed.
Yeah.
But I still realize I still tell myself off, which I thought I'd let go of, but I don't.
Okay.
But I just say, and mirror work is good for this. You look at yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, and say, I see you. You are good enough. You are pretty enough. You are clever. Whatever the story is, everyone will have a different one. But you're enough just as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And what you are is beautiful. And what you are is whole. And there's nothing missing. And you don't need anything outside yourself to fix yourself with. There's nothing to fix.
I love that. And these kind of affirmations, I have them coming up on my reminders daily, every 3 hours.
Yes, because we get so busy in doing whatever mode you're in, we forget, and they go, oh my goodness, the evening I didn't do that. And then you berate yourself for not doing it. And then the cycle starts again, rather than going, okay, it's fine, I didn't do it, so I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
But that's why I get up in the morning and the evening, and I have those hours for me. Because if I didn't schedule them, our mind needs formulation and structure.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind, that's planned in my diary.
Yeah.
I never did that before. And I've only taken that on seriously in the last year.
Okay.
And the results have been breathtakingly, because I've suddenly got all this time and I can be productive, because I'm not running, going into work in my head.
Yeah.
I'm running in from I'm joy today. And even I walk into them, they're going off. Rah, rah. I say, oh, I can see you're not feeling great today. That's the choice you've got. I say this to my colleagues and they go, what are you? I said, I'm feeling joy, happy. And they went, you can stay out of my classroom then. And I can laugh. I laugh my head off. I said, that's fine. I am going to show up in your classroom and you can just see me or whatever. But I choose to be me.
And again, working in a school, oh my goodness, I know how stressful it can be trying to discipline those children. What's your views on that, on disciplining children?
Discipline comes from a fear of lack of control and wanting it. I've become very clear on that. And I was a control freak. So I wanted everyone to be happy and well behaved. But what I can see and used to trigger me was when children were angry, especially the older ones, and we're giving you back chat or whatever you want to call it. But they're coming from a wound that something wasn't listened to. And actually what I do with children like that, I just take them out, have a 5-minute word, said, look, you need space. That's all you need. Okay. And it's fine. And you don't have to be any other way. Don't change how you're feeling, because that feeling is true. It needs to be seen. I'm giving you space. But you see, because we've got to get the lesson taught and the time ticking, we dismiss that. And then they act up in the playground because that's the next space they go to, and then they get into fights, and then they get into trouble for that. Whereas the actual see who's in front and what's showing up, because they might have come from an upset at home in the morning that they're still carrying.
Yeah.
You know, we have upsets at home, and then we go into work and then we bark at people because we're not there. We haven't let it go.
And just like the amount of classrooms that I've been in where, you know, teachers are just shouting at the pupils.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of stress.
There is, because, and I was swimming in that stress for years until I thought, no, I can't be a teacher anymore. And I did leave teaching for a year. I was so bored in an office job, and I realized, no, I am a born teacher and I love that. But it's going in with, right, this lesson needs to be taught, but I have no control of how it's going to go. Okay. I'm planned up to the hilt, so I know what needs to happen, but I cannot control the children in the class and how they're going to listen or whatever. And what I do is just make it right. That's not working. And I have actually said, right, stop this, put music on, everybody get out their seats, dance. We need 5 minutes pure dancing, being silly, pulling silly faces. And that shifts their energy. And I say, right, we've had a bit of fun now. And they know I'm the fun. They think I'm the fun, mad, strict teacher, but I'm strict because it will happen, but it doesn't have to happen my way. Okay. And that's what I'm getting more present to. And then what I've realized recently is I was getting very angry with the anger inside a child. But what I realized, not at the time, I sat at it when I got home, and what she was demonstrating was exactly how I felt as a child, and it wasn't met, the needs. Okay. And I was angry because I couldn't make it better at that time. And I just forgave myself and said, she needs to go through that, and you just pick it up tomorrow and you say, I'm here for you, whatever you need. That's all any of us want. I'm here for you with no judgment. I'm here for you with open arms and space for you to be you.
To be heard and understood.
Yeah.
That's all it takes, right?
It is.
And again, from a teacher's point of view, it takes a lot of strength to get to that place, and it takes a lot of self-reflection and growth.
Because I was conditioned for X number of years to be a different way. What my dream for the future is children who are at the age of 3, 4, perfect. They're curious. They want to do it. And luckily in early years, we're still allowed to learn through play, which is vital. I wish that went up to 8 years old, because then they're learning rather than having textbooks and filling out sheets. They can experience, learn what they like, what they don't like, and that's all fine. And then from that space, they'll be so trusting in who they are. They'll just take everything else like a duck to water. But we've been told, no, it has to be this way. And the government keeps changing it every few years. No, we want this result. No, we want that result. And there's confusion. Yeah. They just want a result. The result is actually a human being who's happy. It shouldn't be about an A grade. No. It should be a whole complete who trusts themselves, loves themselves, and has that curiosity to what's next, that thing. I can create it from nothing. I am innocent enough not to have any expectations. We were all born from that, and we were just conditioned out of it. And if we can change schooling like that, and I think mindfulness times between lessons needs to come into practice just for 3 minutes. Right, here we are. Be present. How's your body feel? What are you feeling in different parts? What emotions are there? Don't make them right or wrong. Breathe into them, breathe out, because the breath is with us from birth to death. And that is our greatest comfort, our anchor.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting about the approach that you took to your teaching style. I just think that if many teachers applied that, wow.
They'd let go of so much baggage and demands and expectations that they've carried for years. Yeah. I carried it for years. It's my responsibility to be the best. But the best is actually just what is in the moment. You can't plan for that.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. And in terms of your inner child healing, so I know, you talk a lot about this as well.
Yes.
How have you felt that you've healed your inner child?
Well, the first time I went, that was probably about 2 years ago. I'll be honest with you, she sat there with her back to me in a right hump, crying her eyes out. And I thought, oh my gosh, because I thought it was my mum's responsibility, the teacher's responsibility, but I'm an adult now and I can go back to her. And the next day, she was there with open arms. But even recently, she's been triggered again through my son's anxiety. And I just realized there's so much sorrow for what she didn't get. And all she was looking for was safety and love. So I've just embraced her and said, I see you. I hear you. You're part of me. You've always been a part of me. And I'm sorry I've ignored you. And I'm here for you now. But a lot of us won't even, I'm an adult. I'm not a child.
Mm.
We are all children still.
We are, absolutely, yeah. And it's about nurturing your inner child.
It is. And that's what my biggest takeaway is, that I'm energy of nurturing, passion, love, and healing. And I'm doing it for myself first, because it starts from myself. With you, it starts with yourself. We've all got different journeys. We've all got different stories. It doesn't matter. But the basic thing we all wanted was security, love, compassion, and forgiveness.
I think definitely the basic needs, apart from food, shelter, and water, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've gone about stepping into your discomfort. In what ways do you do that yourself?
Well, I've done a mindfulness course recently, and one part of it was the body scan. And I just started bawling, crying. And I thought, the mind went, what's wrong? And rather than make it wrong, I went, no, I hear the mind trying to take over here. I just released it. And I had so much sorrow that I was releasing that I wasn't even present for. And then what came out of it was, because I then did 4 hours of silence. And I mean, no TV, no interactions with other humans, nothing, but just sat there, felt the pain wherever it was in the body, say, I see you, I welcome you, let the emotions come. And what came out was, underneath all that sorrow was terror, pure terror of being left and abandoned and not fitting in. And I just let it, and I said, I saw you, and it lost its power. But literally, I have to give myself time, and it happens through meditation. But I can choose at any time, even in the middle of a day when it's all going, oh my goodness. And I think, oh, look at me going into overwhelm. Let's choose not to. I'm here. I do deep breathing, 3 deep breaths, cleaned me up, because I'm so connected now to my breath. That anchors me. And it's the realization I'm not there. I'm not in that panic of the child or in that dangerous situation. I am who I am now. And those are just memories. But what the memories have done, and I have repressed the emotions, that I accept them because I didn't finish the trauma response. Animals in the wild, the deer's chased by the lion. And when they escape, you see them, they actually shake it off. We didn't shake it off. I didn't shake it off. So I got it trapped, and now I'm ready to release it, because I had a thing is I can't let it sing because it won't look good. I'm a teacher. I'm meant to be in control. But I say to the kids, I am a human. And I don't know everything. That's another thing. I don't need to know everything. I'm just being honest and vulnerable with you. And in that, there's so much acceptance from children, but we just don't have that acceptance for ourselves as adults. So it's time to be kind to you.
It is. And I remember as a child when all my teachers, I don't know, I think things were definitely different back then. There wasn't as much kind of healing and development that we have now. And, it was a big hierarchical system where the teachers knew everything, to bow down to them. And it was just
Chill was seen but not heard. We just did what we were told, got a pat on the head, A for conduct, and off you go. That's the only A I ever got as a child.
Oh my goodness, I know that's all I remember. Like I hated my childhood because of that. I just felt so controlled, so
but you weren't allowed to be free to express your way, because you got to do it their way.
And
I want to break that big story that we've got going there.
And so what kind of ways have you got to go about this? Because I feel that your message needs to be heard. I feel that you need to be going into schools, training teachers.
I would love to do that. Well, I'm actually going to train myself up to teach mindfulness in school because I think that's a given. Yeah. I've created the Mood Munchers because as my job as an ELSA, so I'm working with children that have difficulties in classroom, not just academically, but it's emotional. You know, it's how they feel about themselves, which is key. So I've created the Mood Munchers because I've only recently realized that I'm not my emotion. We say I am sad. No, you're feeling sad. I'm not angry. I am feeling anger. And so I've created these fun, colorful characters. And as I said before, I've done guilt, shame, rejection, angst, stress, because they're all valid feelings and they all have a place in the world. Yeah. But for children to be able to say, oh, and I'm having toys made, Blaze has come to visit me. And then you don't have to make it right or wrong. He's just coming to visit. He's not going to stay, a bit like a roommate, and then he's gone. But you've allowed the feeling without repressing it to be, without judgment. Yeah. And there's so much freedom in that. And it's helped not only the children, it's helped parents who have read the books at home because it's opened up the dialogue. Wow. Yes, I felt that too. When did you feel that upset or guilt, mummy? Because, you know, as children, they look at their parents as super people. Yeah. We've got it together, but we haven't. Let's cut that story out. There's no togetherness. There is just what is.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting.
But I just want a toolbox, which is why I've made the books. And I'm writing one for parents, as my head as a parent, another one for teachers. Okay. Because we all have our stories and our baggage from our past that we're pulling behind us. And it's time to cut the cords and say, I don't need that. I don't need this. We're enough in ourselves. And if lockdowns taught me anything, is I didn't buy it. I don't know about yourself. I didn't go out buying stuff. It wasn't needed. As long as I had food on the table, you know, the heating on.
Yeah, absolutely.
All I needed was the company and the companion of family. And that's pure connection.
Absolutely. Material possessions, money.
We're told we need them to look good and to have, and you buy this and you'll be full and happy for the rest of your life. Rubbish. Yeah, let's just call that one. That's just called selling.
Yeah.
We've got everything inside ourselves and we've got to come home to ourselves. It starts with our breath. It starts by accepting your body just as it is. Yeah. Start listening to your body when it gets niggles and pains. Welcome without judgment any feelings and let yourself just be. Okay. Because I promise you they don't last. I thought if I let them in, they'd never go. That was a fear.
Wow.
But in letting them, welcoming them in, they've just gone, showed up, and I've let go. No attachment.
Let it go.
Let it go. Verma Elsa, letting it go.
Yes, that's a fantastic song for this purpose.
Oh, it is. The amount of another film, because I watched Inside Out years ago and people say, oh, you're creating Inside Out characters. I said, no, I'm creating more than that because they were just the four basic ones. Yeah. I want to get onto all those ones that I held onto being an Irish Catholic. Yes, the guilt, the shame, the horror. And I'm doing them all because they're all to be validated and seen for what they are. Nothing more, nothing less. But in also then last Christmas, Soul, I don't know if you've seen it, by Disney, came out. Wow. Yeah. The most amazing film. It is realizing that we are souls. We've come down into this body to experience. And then what happens through inherited narratives and judgment, we lose that innocence. And to show that to children as a family, because it can be discussed at an adult level, but for children, that's just the freedom, you know, to actually dance with the leaves as they're falling off the trees. That is joy. That's bliss. That's happiness. That's got nothing to do with the result on a piece of paper.
No, absolutely not. And do you find as well now, because I know you did a talk about, let's talk about self-harm, but do you find, you know, with social media and, you know, the millennials, Generation Z, Generation X's, just, you know, getting hooked on technology all of a sudden, do you find that it's impacted on their mental health?
I mean, there is a place for technology. And I couldn't be talking to you like this without it. However, they've been conditioned, us, including me, because I have a phone. And guess what? I'm checking it and looking for results. But one thing, I don't pick up my phone for 2 hours in the morning, because I realized what I was doing was seeing, have I been light, to see that need of validation from others. And what I've noticed with young, especially my own son, they even communicate their text. They don't talk. They don't actually be in the present of person, touching the hand of person, say, I see you, I hear you. Exactly. It's just all done by a machine.
Just a few words.
And that connection, I think that's what it's doing. They're becoming disconnected and programmed. This is the only way to communicate. Yeah. But that is a false way, in my opinion, is a false way of communicating, because I can write a text to you, depending on the mood you're in, that I can't see. You can read it one way and I could have meant it a totally different way. And a lot of upset can be avoided whereas if I met you in present, I would just vibe how you're feeling and the words I would use.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I've had that as well, where some millennials, in kind of distant family, that they'll message me and then I'll just pick up the phone and call them, and
yeah, they go, why are you calling? Like, I do that too.
Yeah, get me.
It's what we're comfortable with, though. You see, when I talk about discomfort, so texting to you and me may be uncomfortable, but to them it's just so second nature, because nobody's actually taught them the other way.
Yeah, this is it.
I was lucky, but we didn't have computers in school, and when I started teaching, we were beginning computers, one huge computer that was trundled around the whole school, but we still didn't know how to use it. No. Mobile phones hadn't been invented yet. You went out, if you want to see somebody, you actually had to call them up and arrange to meet them and spend a couple of hours to get through it all.
Yeah, on a landline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then you weren't allowed to be on the landline because that cost mum. And so mum said, get off, you've only seen her today. What have you got to say to her now that you couldn't? But you couldn't in school because you had to do it the way at school.
Yeah, exactly.
But we want to get out there again and meet up with our friends and just laugh and be. So a tip would be because children need their phones. You can't get away from that. But to have limited times on phones, give them 2 hours before they go to bed, no phones, so that they can get out of their heads and just start to relax. And if they're desperate to see their phones, arrange a time to go see them at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. No,
sounds simple, but I'm going to be honest with this. It was easier for me to put him in front of a DVD when I was having a bad time, because I was trying to do my work as well. Yeah. And so machines were babysitting my child. I'll hold my hands up to that one. And then, he wants to do something, but it doesn't fit in with my schedule.
Yeah.
Because we've all got schedules, but we're so addicted to the schedules that lockdown let us throw the schedules out of the window. And I'm in fear that we're all going to pick them up and carry on. And I plan not to do that.
Okay. That's good. I mean, did you find with the COVID as well, has there been a lot more people self-harming?
I think what it was the fear of isolation and fear. I stopped watching the news on day one because I could see that's where I could go. And I said, I'm not doing that to myself. It's a choice. I worked with kids and families all the way through COVID as a key worker. I never got it, but I knew I wasn't going to get it because this isn't going to affect me. I'm just going to keep showing up. But I do know, especially younger children, where you learn through school the social skills, they've missed out on them. They've had parents trying to do their jobs, look after the kids, and it's been too much. So the parents have become angst. The kids have picked that up as the CEOs, giving off that energy. And then they've come to school with that angst. And what I wanted to do when we first went back to school is don't do any curriculum for the first 2 weeks and just let them get out there, socialize, talk, learn to talk to one another again. And of course, because of demands, that didn't happen how I would have loved it to happen. But I'm fortunate enough that I have in my role that I can do that with children that need it. But I think there's Elsa, as I am, I think that needs to be in every school and every organisation.
I think so too, yeah. So where do you, I think I already asked you, didn't I, in terms of your next steps?
My next steps, because I was running with this podcast, happy for where I was showing up, but with Alessandro having the anxiety, it hit me in the face. And it's made me realize I've still got healing to do about my own childhood. So I'm just taking one step at a time now.
Okay.
I'm continuing to do, but my message is, I am enough. You are enough. We get to choose in every moment. The connection for me to be present for my husband and son is paramount. For me to be present for myself and give my time is paramount, because if I give that first, everything else just flows. And this is what I've found. So I was triggered to go back into my head, basically. And I nearly went there for 2 days, and then I let it go.
Wow.
And I'm just seeing what's possible each day.
Wow, yeah, because we get stuck into these to-do lists, don't we? I know
Oh.
I do. I have my sticky on my Mac right now looking at me.
Yeah, and to tick it off. I used to write a list, then I love the satisfaction of crossing it out. Done.
Yeah, exactly.
Done.
But how about just having on there to do, spend quality time with family?
I've got it. I've got this diary right in front of me, and it says joy, love, my intention today, joy, love, be authentically me. And I'm writing that all the time because it still hasn't got 100% through.
Okay.
Then I have a task that have to be done, like answer emails, but I just schedule them in for an hour. Yeah. And if they go over, I'm walking away, because guess what? They're still going to be there tomorrow.
It's an email.
Exactly. It's not human connection.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. So what is your purpose?
My purpose is to let people realize that you don't need anything from outside yourself. You can come home to yourself with love and understanding, and allow compassion in. I'm still doing that to myself. I have good days and bad days. My purpose is to make parents realize you don't need to know it. There is no good. There is no bad. There is just you, and your child chose you, and you can do this together. And let go of the demands from society and family, because that's inherited. That's where it's come from. Absolutely. We want to write a new to-do list that basically says, be in the present. This is what it is, nothing more. Enjoy.
And why is this important?
Because I don't want children growing up with a limited view, a conditioned view that there's only one way to be happy and you're not enough as you are. That's just a story that we've bought into probably for 200 years. I want to change that narrative. I want to change education. You can get the answers to most things at the end of the Google button. We don't need to be learning this. We need to learn in schools how to be human, how to accept one another, how to love who we are, trust ourselves first. I don't want anybody to feel how I have felt in my lowest of low. This is why I stepped out of my woe is me to the what for, because I will, and there's strength and there's a bit of an anger. I don't want my son going through that. And yet what it's shown me is he's got to go through it, but that's okay. I'm not in control of that. I can just show up, but if I put trust in myself that it will be fine, he will be fine. I know that.
How can children create resilience?
By accepting that life's full of miracles, opportunities, that things are there to be experienced, that there isn't a right way. There's not a result to be had. There is the journey of getting to the end product, the end feeling. But be present on the journey. It's the journey, and this is for adults too. It's the journey that matters, but we've been conditioned to think it's the result.
And I guess it's to be you.
Yeah, but accept yourself. Don't be told you're not enough. You are perfect with the body you were given, the eye color, even down to the hair color you've got is perfect for you. It's as simple as that. Don't change for anybody. Just grow and become. Each day you're becoming more and more and more.
Listeners, if you want to read more about this, then please go on to Amazon.
Amazon of my books, but I've also got a website, amandahreil.com, where you can buy my books, go onto my podcasts. I'll be developing it further. And I won't stop writing books, because this is a creative way I am finding to help others and help myself too. It starts with you. You choose you now.
Oh, that's amazing. You've just, honestly, the important messages you have to give to everybody who's listening to the podcast right now. Honestly, it's mind-blowing. And I just think it's one of the most important messages of all time.
I totally agree. Yeah. And we've got this together. Yeah. We're not alone. I thought I was the only one that thought like this, and by meeting people like you, we are out there. We've just got to keep showing up to get the voice heard until it goes to the powers that be and they finally ready to listen.
And listeners, please do share this with all of your network, all of your friends, and please do contact Amanda, as I know she'd love to hear from you.
Definitely, yes. Let's make this go global. The world is a beautiful place. Let's be beautiful with it.
Let's do that. Amanda, it's been an absolute honor having you on my show. Honestly,
thank you. It's been
today. I feel so inspired.
Yeah, no, it's been joyful. It's been, yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for giving me the space and for being you. You're a dynamic mum, and just watch this space.
Woohoo! Love it. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye.